Okay, so we left off with Marco Polo going down in the Strait of Hormuz, and obviously a lot's happened since then. I changed outfits. Um, you know, that's what happens when you go into the Strait of Hormuz. You gotta come back a changed person, and Marco Polo is definitely going to be changed. The fact that there's only 6 survivors, the Polos and the Princess were amongst those survivors, definitely is going to have an effect on Marco Polo's life. And what's going to end up happening is after this, he's going to make his way back to Venice. Now, he's been gone for 24 years, but he's made a lot of money during this time. So he's going to live kind of the good life because of it. He goes back, he's very wealthy, but things aren't great in Venice. When he goes back, Venice is at war with its enemy, Genoa. And being a good, patriotic Venetian like he is, Marco Polo signs up to fight in these wars. Now, Polo is put in the Navy because, obviously, that's the place you're going to put Marco Polo. He's got extensive knowledge of boats, although it didn't work out well in the Strait of Hormuz. He still has some knowledge of sailing. And it's during one of these naval battles that Marco Polo actually gets captured. And, unlike a lot of wars that go on, this is a merchant war. So it is really about money. Marco Polo, he is a great prisoner because you can take this guy prisoner and you can hold him for ransom. And that's what they ended up doing. And Marco Polo is going to spend the next year of his life imprisoned. Now, you'd think this would kind of be the end of the Marco Polo story, that he would be imprisoned and eventually, spoiler alert, he's going to get out of prison. And you'd think that that's really it. But no. The thing that's really going to define Marco Polo and have a massive effect on the early modern world is the fact, while he's in prison, he's going to tell his story to a fellow prisoner by the name of Rustichello de Pisa. And, as he's telling Rustichello these stories, Rustichello's writing it all down. And when Rustichello gets out of prison, he goes back to France, and he is going to publish a book called The Travels of Marco Polo. And this book is going to become one of the most important documents of the modern world. In this book, there's the stories of Polo, sharing the places he went to, the customs, the geography, the language. And it becomes kind of an unofficial guidebook for Asia. But more importantly, it's got some great stories in it. There's stories of places where coffee beans are more valuable than gold, where people, don't wear any clothing, where there are winged horses and other animals. Now, if you know your modern Asia, none of these places actually exist. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Like, go off and kind of look about on your own and see what was in that book. And you'll kind of be like, why did people believe it? Well, this is a period of time when people still believe in, aspects of the supernatural. Also, it's entertaining. If you've been living your life in Europe and you are very much so confined to your village, your town, your city, this is a view into the world that seems very plausible because your world seems very small. So the book becomes very, very popular. Although it does have a lot of critics at the time. There were other people who said, this can't all be true. They criticized it. The one thing we do know is that it inspired an entire generation of explorers. Lots of people read this and they started to want to make their own journeys, not only to China, but to other parts of the world. Also, the one thing that became very clear was the fact that Marco Polo made a lot of money on this journey to China. So these explorers, they're not going out there with a sense of exploration. Commerce is a very big part of it. And the one person who we kind of look at as being really inspired by Marco Polo was the explorer Christopher Columbus. If you go to Spain today and you go to, there's a museum there, there's a copy of the Travels of Marco Polo owned by Christopher Columbus, and he's written notes throughout the entire thing. So, he is going to want to find that route to China, but he doesn't want to spend the years traveling across land. He's like, no, we're going to go across the sea. And we're going to look at Columbus, in a different part of this. If you don't know the story of Christopher Columbus, it's an important moment in world history because, Columbus in 1492, he's going to sail the ocean blue, and he's going to kind of set the stage for European colonization of the Americas and its legacy of, assault, genocide, theft, stealing of land that goes on when the Europeans start to arrive here and they mistreat the indigenous peoples of the Americas. As for Polo, his days of adventuring are done. He made a lot of money, so who wants to spend years riding horses and going through inhospitable weather conditions and bad terrain and eating bad food? He's going to live the good life. And after getting released from prison, he goes back to Venice, and he is going to continue to be a businessman. He's going to run his business from Venice, and he'll continue to make a lot of money. Now, like all of us, in 1324, Marco Polo, at the age of 70, will pass away. Now, on his deathbed, there were a lot of people around him, and they brought a priest to Marco Polo so he could confess. And a lot of people said, look, tell the truth before you die, that the events that you told in your book, the places you said you saw, are all false. And Marco Polo, just as he did in life, will defend what he says. And a matter of fact, there's one report that even says, just before he died, he stated, I have not told the half of what I saw. Which, leads us to believe that there were probably some other great adventures that he had. True or not true. Marco Polo left his legacy with the world. And, we definitely have to look at Marco Polo as being one of these people who shaped the world in a way in which it is today. Everything from the ideas of trade and commerce to the adventurous spirit that still takes us, to different places. It's this drive of exploration that will, hundreds of years later, take us to the moon. And one day, we'll venture out there to the stars even more. So we really have to look at Marco Polo as one of these key figures in putting an end to the Middle Ages and launching us into the modern Western period. With that, ladies and gentlemen, one last thing about Marco Polo. He didn't start the pool game, okay? Just have to clear that one up. So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, obviously my jersey is the San Jose Sharks, and I am a Leafs fan, but I'm a bigger Sharks fan. There's a whole history behind that. You don't want to take notes on that. So let's see, how does this go again? Oh yeah, with that, ladies and gentlemen, today's class and this lecture is history. See you later. Bye.